It's time to talk sports, it's time for the show. When you hear this song on the radio, it's time to tune in, better act fast. Let me get that autograph. Potograph, Sports Talk Radio. Starting now.
Let's go. What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 158 of Let Me Get That Autograph. As always, my name is Drew, or the DH, and joining me, my awesome co-host, Scott Rappaport. What up, dude?
Oh, dude, this has been a crazy couple of days, man.
Woo!
This is... So, I'm excited on a lot of different levels. One, I'm setting up at the first show I've set up at in like 6 months. This coming weekend in Northwest Indiana and Cherville. It's, the region, sports cards, collectibles. I'll have a couple of tables there. Stop off, say hi. It's the 20th and 21st. But what I'm as excited as I am about that, what I'm really excited about is feedback from last week.
Yes.
Dude,
yes.
The comments that I was getting were amazing. Some of the biggest stuff was coming out of guys that I'd never heard of before.
Right. No, you guys, thank you so much. Obviously, our interview with Beckett last week, if you haven't gotten a chance to listen to it yet, it is a must listen. But the amount of feedback that I got, not only on the post that we shared, but personal messages, DMs to the page, to the Instagram, the Twitter, everything. The response has been incredible. So thank you guys so much for that. It means a lot. We were very excited about this interview, and we wanted to tell it that it was coming for a long time. So holding that in was tough to do, but I think it ended up being incredible. It was one of my favorite interviews that I'd done of all time, really. After I looked back on it and everything, and thank you guys, because the feedback has been overwhelming, and it means a lot to us.
Yeah, and people have been waiting 2 years to hear something from Beckett.
Yeah,
and now they finally got an opportunity. And the biggest question I always get was, "How the hell did you guys get that interview?" And,
I got so many people that said, "Dude, I've been trying for 3 months to get that. I've been trying for this long." I'm like, "Yeah, well,
it's just, this is one of those situations where it's all about who you know, not what you know."
Right? Yeah,
and it worked out for us. It was great. And I'm hoping to see a lot more of them out there. Not just here. I'm hoping to see them in other places too, because there's as much as I want everybody to listen to our podcast, there are a ton of other podcasts out there that are absolutely listen worthy. And, I would love to see, Jeremy and Kunal, appear on some of those as well.
No, I would love to see them get their social media presence and their interview, their public image and everything. Get Jeremy, get Eric, get Kunal, get all those guys back out there and, doing interviews, putting out some fresh new content, doing things like that. Like they were saying, that's something that they intend to do. And I expect that we're probably going to see a lot more of that, but who knows? We might not. I don't know. So it was an honor to get that interview, honestly, from Beckett. So I want to thank them for coming on the show. Yep. But the feedback that you guys have given us throughout the week was just absolutely incredible. So thank you.
Now, there was though, Drew, one downside with doing the entire episode as the interview. And Doug, it turned out great. I'm glad we did it. I have zero regrets of doing it that way. But
yeah,
there are some things that we did not get a chance to cover last week.
That's true.
Because we decided that the Beckett interview with Kunal and Jeremy was more important for the hobby. And granted, we don't want to be the gatekeepers as to what is important. And frankly, with all the message boards and all that kind of stuff, there, Facebook groups and Instagram stuff that's out there, nobody can really be a gatekeeper. But there were a couple of big stories that popped that we are going to talk about today instead of that. In addition to coming up a little bit later in the show, we have an awesome additional interview for you. It's not Beckett. It's not PSA. It's not, any but it's something that you're going to want to listen to because it is new and it is different and it is awesome. So let's get started.
Let's do it. What do you want to start with? Because there's
All right.
a lot.
So we missed a couple of big ones last week.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to, there's two of them that popped up that kind of have certain similarities, but some not similarities. And that is Fernando Tatis.
Yes.
And Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
And, you guys listening are going to ask, well, Fernando Tatis tested positive for PEDs and Zach Wilson just got hurt. Right. What do those two have in common?
Yeah.
Well, collectors started freaking out.
Oh, God, yeah.
On both. And that's the thing. So everybody, when Wilson got hurt, everyone was making fun of all the people that spent tens of thousands of dollars on Zach Wilson stuff.
Yeah.
When
before the tests were done too, like they didn't even let the tests get completely finished. They literally went by he could possibly have this severe injury, and then all of a sudden it's panic.
Yeah, 2 to 4 weeks out. Yeah, nothing.
Yeah. Oh God,
nothing to see here.
If it was Michael Porter Jr., he would have gotten a bump though.
Oh, of course, because that always happens. But let's take a look at both of those situations.
Yeah.
Tatis coming off an injury. He was doing his rehab assignment. Everybody was getting all excited. Saw the prices started to creep up just a little bit, in anticipation of him making his return. And then somewhere along the line, he gets ringworm. And I had to look it up because I thought it was like some third world country, like, walking in soil, like stomach worm kind of thing. And nope. Turns out it's a common skin issue. And supposedly the medication he took caused him to test positive for steroids, which we all know is complete and utter BS because that particular steroid does not appear in that medication. So everybody started freaking out, and all of a sudden Tatis cards are, 50% off, 70% off.
Well, I mean, Ken Golden talking about how it's like a probably $250 million hit for the hobby. I know. I don't really, I mean, that's an auction house are hyping stuff up. But his stuff did tank.
Yes,
quite quickly. But I have a thought on that, which I'll touch on in just a minute. But you, as you were saying,
so. Personally, right now, I think with them as low as they are, it's a buy. Now, that's the thing. Now, are his chances of getting into the Hall of Fame severely diminished? Yeah. But he'll be back, and he's got more time to, rest and rehab the wrist that he messed up. Of course, that also gives him more time to break something else. But, he'll be back, and he'll be hitting, and, the fans will be back cheering for him again. And as long as he puts up good numbers, this stuff's going to come back.
Yes, and you look at people like, Pete Rose cards do great. I mean, they do just fine. They could probably do better, but the Hall of Fame is not the be all end all of, if you're collecting. And I honestly think that depending on when he retires, how long of a career he has, I could see the possibility of a lot of these guys getting in, even if he tested positive, because he didn't play any games while he was doing this. This was during rehab to help do something. He wasn't using it during games or anything like that. So I think it's looked at a little differently by some people. And also, you're going to have a new generation that grew up with like hearing the stories about McGuire and Sosa and Bonds and the steroids and stuff, and kind of coming up with their whole life assuming it's part of the game. And so I can see a lot of people as the transition kind of goes, and new people and new voters and, the committee changes and things like that. I could eventually see some of these people getting in. But Tatis, he's going to come back. He's going to play great. They've got a team that could easily win some World Series or compete for some. He gets some rings. He puts up good numbers. His cards are going to be just fine. They're not going to be what they could have been. No, they're definitely not going to be what they could have been, but they can easily be some massive, massive cards.
Oh yeah. And all the panic selling and all that kind of stuff. You know what? If you're a buyer, take advantage of it.
Yes.
it's kind of what it's about. Take advantage of it. And the same thing with Zach Wilson. Everybody's like trashing his cards and expecting prices to tank. And frankly, once the news came out, like a day later that it was only going to be a 2 to 4 week, I think things stabilized. But what gets me, so somebody released a list the other day of the top 14 NFL players that fans look up to the most. Yes. And of course you saw that. So of course Tom Brady's number one. For some unknown reason, Deshaun Watson is number 12. Let's just, forget about that one. But coming in at number 8 was the man himself, Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
And I'm not entirely sure what it is that the fans are looking up to.
I know exactly why he was voted on that.
We know why he's on that list, and it's
exactly why he's on that list.
Nothing to do with his, on-field performance. It's got nothing to do with his, charity work if he's doing any, which for tax reasons most athletes do. So we'll just assume he's doing some charity work. No, it's got nothing to do with that.
No.
But here's my question: how much of that, what people are looking up to him for, are actually what's driving the card prices?
Well, I mean, that's a good question. And honestly, I think collectors are a little smarter than that. Now, maybe some of them, maybe like some of the low end stuff that's a little higher than compared to people. Sure. But I don't know about like every single like card, because I think collectors are a little smarter than that, or I would like to hope so, and I pray so. But I will guarantee you that it definitely has some sort of factor. I mean, if people are buying Ja Morant cards because a slain rapper is in the background of a card, then they're buying cards of Zach Wilson because they like what he did.
Or who is it? Mark Jackson with the Menendez brothers in the background.
Yeah, and like the Dennis Rodman that has Michael Jordan blurred in the back of it. Like there's.
No, that wasn't blurred. That was, it was there.
Yeah, well, they semi-tried to blur it, but it didn't.
Yeah, but I put that differently because it is Michael Jordan.
Right. Yes, but you know what I mean. I'm just saying, like, people will always gravitate towards just crazy stuff. So I could easily see, some people grabbing Zach Wilson stuff because they're like, oh, I like this dude. Yeah, but the big stuff, no, I don't think it. I mean, look at what Wilt Chamberlain stuff sells for, and we all know what kind of numbers he put up. Oh well, Wilt put up legendary numbers on and off the court, man. I mean, straight up.
That's the one I always go back to with that kind of situation. Look, nobody's going to put up the numbers that Wilt Chamberlain did.
No,
except maybe not a non-sport version, maybe Gene Simmons from Kiss.
There you go.
But I don't. Yeah, I've always been curious as to how many people are buying into Zach Wilson because he can do what he does at such a young age, and as we're beating around the bush here, not saying exactly what it is, but look, no need to freak out with Wilson. No need to freak out with Tatis.
No, it just turns, all it does, and this is the thing that people tend to misunderstand in this hobby. They look at everything, and it drives me crazy because they look at it as, oh, Tatis investors, you're screwed, blah, 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 you're ruined, this is over, whatever. And they do it with every single player, every single time they get hurt, whenever anything's done. No, it just turns from maybe something that you were possibly immediately looking to flip in a couple months to maybe a couple year hold or something. It just alters the way you look at everything and the way you should perceive that value to come up. It doesn't ruin it immediately. Yeah. And it's just something that it drives me crazy when I see it. And we saw two great examples this week with Tatis and Wilson.
You know what it really reminds me of?
What's that?
You ever watch golf?
All the time.
Anytime somebody hits a shot, ball hits the green, there's somebody out there yelling, "Get in the hole!"
Yes.
And then, you see a guy, teeing off on a par 5, and he hits his tee shot, and there's some asshole there yelling, "Get in the hole!" on like a 500-yarder. It's like that.
Yeah.
It's overblown. It's overused. It's overdone. You get it within a foot of the hole on the green. All right, fine. Yell, "Get in the hole." But
Right.
there's just not, that's the card world version, is what we're seeing now is, all the freaking out about, especially with these two guys,
Yes.
they're not exactly like a year or two away from retirement.
No.
They've got full careers left, ahead of them. They've barely scratched the surface. They just started.
That's my point. It was so overreactionary. Now, Tatis, I could understand when you just read the headline. I could understand it a little bit more. But once again, just like Zach Wilson, all people were doing was reading the headline before the story was even out there. Because nowadays, it's no longer you get the story with all the details. Now it's you get the rumor and then you get the details that come out after. It's completely different than how it used to be in journalism. And so it causes people to freak out and just act ridiculous. I mean, these are both two young guys with a massively bright future ahead of them. Who knows how great it's going to be? That can change at the drop of a dime, but they've got the talent to have it. And the overreactionary stuff was just hilarious to me, especially on the Zach Wilson side. I just thought it was great.
And people in the hobby clearly don't remember Ray Rice.
Yeah,
because talk about a guy who screwed up and came back and made a huge comeback. I mean, look, if he can do it, so can Tatis and Zach Wilson. Look, guys, wait. Just wait until you get all the details.
Yeah.
Before you go crazy, be responsible with it. Don't buy into the social media hype.
Yeah, exactly. You nailed it. Just wait, relax, chill out, and I don't know, let the story come out. Let him actually have, a medical test done.
Yeah.
Seems like the proper thing to do.
No, exactly. Now, speaking of stories coming out.
Yes.
Speaking of waiting, this is a big one. And this is another one where we're going to kind of lump two into one because there's certain similarities to it. So at the National, Whatnot had a box of 86 Fleer basketball that they had a bunch of their, top guys get up on the main stage and rip the packs. And somebody noticed that the cards were all coming out in alphabetical order.
Yeah.
Which also is numerical order because that's how they built the product.
Right.
And they also noticed that that's not supposed to be like that because of the way that Fleer packed out the product. Now, this was a certified box, certified by BBCE, who we all know had the issue with the case of Pokemon cards.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say I was kind of willing to let that one go because that wasn't their area of expertise. So they were relying on the expertise of somebody else.
Right.
Now, we also found out that this was not a factory box.
Exactly.
We found this out after a couple of days. This is what a lot of people in the hobby refer to as a Frankenstein box.
Yep.
Meaning it is 36 packs that they have deemed, that Steve Hart over at BBCE has deemed to be unopened and unsearched. Now, that's different than a factory box.
100%.
Which exactly what you should be getting. You should be getting 3 complete sets plus like 25% or something like that of a fourth set. So you should be getting 3 to 4 Jordans, stickers and all that kind of stuff. So, but there is a very specific pattern to how the cards come out of the packs.
Exactly.
And we're not going to get into the detail on it because other people have done it. And frankly, it would take an hour to explain the whole thing to you.
Yeah.
But this seems to have been, a situation where BBC got it wrong.
Yes. No, 100%. And this is a big, big deal. Like you said, the Pokemon one, I was kind of like, okay, whatever. I thought it was, it was a little black eye on the look, but like you said, not his area of expertise, first time dealing with the stuff, relying on other people's opinions, completely different. These are boxes that they've done millions of. They've done tons of these. If they should be experts on anything, then you would think that this would be one of the top 5 boxes they probably have authenticated and wrapped the most of. And so that's where I look at it and I'm like, okay, something weird's going on here, or they just completely missed it. I don't know. But like I said, that's absolutely one of the top 5 most authenticated boxes, I would assume, of cards ever. And now what you're supposed to be full on experts at. So I have a problem with this.
I have a problem with this as well. But I have multiple problems on multiple different levels. I know Steve Hart. I know him really well. And I know that when Steve looks at a box of 86 Fleer, he takes his time. Yeah. He doesn't breeze through it. So my first thought was not that Steve missed something or he was having a bad day or whatever the case is. My first thought is even worse. My first thought was that somebody has finally figured out a way to reseal those packs to where even the top expert in the hobby cannot tell the difference.
Yes. No, I 100% agree with you. I think there's a very, very good chance. I mean, look, we've all seen there's always a time when the companies are having to revamp their slabs because the scammers and stuff are up in their game and they're figuring something new out, how to mimic something new. It's very, very possible that that's been figured out because technology is getting to where it's at right now. And, that's very easily possible and plausible.
Now, here's what else I found weird. I didn't watch every pack being opened. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure all the videos were out there. I think they eventually came out. But the packs that I opened, there was at least one Jordan that came out of it. You would think that if somebody were resealing packs, they would take the Jordan out.
You would think so.
So I'm not entirely sure what to think about that. Whether or not there were 2 others, at least.
That's the thing. If there's one in there, then they keep the best looking other ones and put one in there or something, and maybe they try and get it by people. Like I said, I haven't seen the packs either, so I don't know.
Or they swapped out, they were really good coming out, and they swapped out, ones that were a little bit less, quality. But they were still there. Yeah, and we know there were a lot of quality control issues, centering especially, with that product. So that's my biggest thing is has somebody finally figured out a way to reseal these and get it past inspection? And if that's the case, then do we need to be suspect about all of the boxes?
Yeah, well, right now, dude, this is 2 big black eyes on BBCE. Now, I still am someone who respects, a lot of what they do, and I respect their opinion on a lot of stuff and everything. But these are 2 pretty big black eyes in a short amount of time. Do you think this is something that's going to ultimately, harm BBCE big in the end? Because, they're the ones that grade or authenticate all the packs for PSA. They do a lot of stuff in this hobby. Do you think that, the customer and the hobbyist faith in them, so to speak, is going to stay, or is this going to make them think twice?
So I think short term, for sure, they're going to, feel a little pain from this. Whether or not there's going to be a long-term effect, that remains to be seen. They came out with their response. I'm not entirely sure what to make of the response.
Yeah, me neither.
But it's one of those things where if it can be shown that somebody, did reseal the packs and did it in such a good way that it passed, then I don't know how much of that is on Steve, versus somebody else. And what I would like to see, and nobody, I don't think anybody's going to really be ballsy enough to do this, but maybe Nat Turner would be the only guy I could see doing this, or maybe even Ken Golden would be crazy enough to do this. I would like to see several recent examples of boxes that BBCE has authenticated.
Yeah.
Open.
Yep.
I want to see them ripped. And the reason people aren't going to do that is because, you may be flushing $100,000 down the drain. Actually, 140 is what this box sold for at auction.
Right.
You may be flushing it down the drain. Who knows? You may pull a couple of pristine Jordans out of there and you're okay. But, but the only way to really tell whether or not somebody was able to get past inspection is to open another box that was certified around that same date,
Yes.
or even several boxes. One of them really isn't going to do it. You need to see it, 5 to 10 boxes opened that were all certified around the same time, and see how the cards come out.
No, I completely agree with you. I think that's the only way you're going to do it, and it's something that needs to be done very soon because this is a big deal, and like you said, they kind of need to be figuring out. If I'm BBCE, I'm really starting to take a look at those packs to see if they have found a way to seal them back or not, and I think that's going to be something. As those boxes continue to soar, I think that's something for us to keep an eye on because it's definitely a possibility. But, moving on from BBCE, I mentioned earlier that, they authenticate all the packs for PSA. Any pack that you get, Pokemon, anything like that, they're all authenticated by BBCE also. Well, PSA came back with some interesting news this week. Scott, we've got another possible autograph scandal going on.
Now, well, and here's the weird part. So the one a couple of weeks ago was with Topps product, and it was a Randy Rosarena and Austin Meadows dual auto that turns out was not signed by either one of them.
No.
This time we are still in baseball.
Yeah.
However, we are talking about a Panini product.
And a sticker too. Panini stickers. Yeah.
Yes. So this is not a situation where, Topps dropped the ball again and everybody can get on about it. No, because they got nothing to do with this one.
Yeah. Now, to be clear, Gem Mint Wax Pack is who alerted me of this. But what it is a Jared Kelenic Prestige auto. It looks like the green parallel numbered 3 out of 5. It was sent in as they're one of the biggest authenticator or bulk submitters authorized by PSA. And they sent this card in, and PSA deemed it questionable. And after looking at it, you can tell it's pretty bad. It does not look like any other autos of him. I can see tons of questionable stuff myself, but this was pulled in a live break. There's video of it being pulled and everything, but the Prestige auto has been deemed questionable, and PSA will not grade the auto. So that's what's going on right here with this situation.
So this brings up a whole nother piece to the puzzle, and this part might also, apply to Topps as well. If it turns out that Kelenic had somebody else sign the stickers for him because he was too lazy or, whatever you want to call it, and then they get sent back, by technically his representative, and then it goes to Panini, and Panini probably doesn't even look at it. They say, oh, it came from Kelenic's agent or whatever, and, they throw him on the cards. Is the process broken?
Right.
And that, that's right. So the process was broken with Topps, but now we're seeing it broken with a Panini product. And it kind of makes you wonder how many other athletes out there that have signed cards that have never actually signed a card. This one's different because it doesn't look like any of his other signatures. But how many guys are out there that have had their buddy? This would be akin to if LeBron James from day one had Maverick Carter signing all of this stuff for him.
Yeah.
It would have to be somebody who would be consistent over the years. Things like that. But a lot of these guys,
but it's possible. It's possible. And I mean, the system is definitely broken, and it has been for a long time. And I've had anyone from any of the card companies on, we would talk about this, and I've asked them ad nauseum about this stuff. In this day and age, where an athlete, and I mean, hell, they promote all the time, showing videos of people signing cards in the club at the National AI, signing cards. They love posting the pictures when the athletes are signing the cards.
Especially
put it in the damn contract for them to have it on video. It's not hard. Issue solved.
Or, God forbid, the card companies actually send somebody out to meet the athletes with the cards and somebody from the company actually witnesses the damn thing.
I don't care what it is, live stream, StreamYard, like we're doing right now. Who knows? I mean, there's a billion ways to make sure that you know who's signing these cards. And the fact that it happened with Topps, which obviously was like was either a damn employee or, I mean, I'm leaning towards an employee because they both weren't on the same team at the same time when that card was made anymore. So it wouldn't be like a team employee. It may be an agent, something along those lines. But when it comes to this, who knows? But the system's been broken for a long time. But I think with COVID, and I think they did like Topps, they blamed COVID. I do think that with COVID and everything, athletes have been more closed off and shut off from people like that. I think that they probably have figured out ways around this stuff. And I don't think that the card companies are doing a good enough job of double checking this stuff. If Kelenic did in fact not sign this is absolutely ridiculous. And it's stuff that there's certain things like with PSA and, getting every grade right where I'm like, okay, I get it. You're going to make mistakes. This type of stuff, you can't be making mistakes on.
Now, here's the thing. They're blaming COVID, and like I said, but you can't even really blame COVID because
I'm not agreeing with that part. I'm saying that it could change. It might have changed how they did their process and made it to where the athletes could take advantage of it.
Well, I think the process has been the same all the time. They get mailed to either directly to the athlete or to the athlete's representative. The athlete signs them and they mail them back, or FedEx or UPS, however they ship them. But it's never been a situation where a representative of Panini just shows up and with 10,000 cards in a box and says, "Hey, let's sit down and I'll give you a bottle of booze and we'll
Yeah, that's the rookie premiere, all-star games, and maybe the national, and that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And you have this is the same process that's been going on long before COVID. So for Topps to use that excuse was kind of a cop-out.
Yeah.
I'd like to see what Panini says about this. Maybe we should call Jeff.
Yeah, I'm actually going to reach out.
Let's call Jeff. Because, there's got to be an explanation for it. And the explanation is likely Kelenic had somebody else sign it for him.
Yeah.
And clearly didn't have that guy practice his autograph before he signed it.
No, because it's bad. It's rough. It's rough.
Yeah. At least if you're going to try, give it a couple of tries. Here's what my autograph looks like. And, okay, go to town. All right, just try to get it close.
Hell no. That dude signing those signatures said, bro, I already got to sign 10,000. I ain't practicing any.
Yeah, exactly. And then we wind up exactly where we're at today.
Yep.
But it's got to stop.
It does. Look, we're talking about two of the biggest companies in the industry, BBCE and Panini, two companies, and then Topps, a little while ago. PSA had nothing to do with this except for pointing it out that it is fake. They're the ones telling you it's wrong. So this is bad. These companies need to start paying attention to this stuff because it's obviously happening a lot. People know it. It happens more and more, but you're seeing it a lot right now, which makes me think that there might be something a little larger at play here because this is a lot of baseball stuff coming out at once.
Yeah.
Makes me kind of think there might be something rough in baseball right now with autos.
Yeah. And in this situation, it's two teams on opposite ends of the country.
Yep.
That don't see each other on a regular basis. They're clearly not in the same division.
Right.
They play each other a couple times a year. And, maybe it's a situation where guys are communicating with each other. Maybe it's not. I think it's all going to come to a stop once the players union has a financial stake in this, with the new contracts that are coming up that Fanatics has. But until then, Panini, Topps, you got to figure this out because this is an integrity issue within the hobby.
Exactly.
And we can't have that.
No, I completely agree, dude. But on that note, guys, we will be right back after these messages with an awesome interview. But it's time right now to go pay some bills. And welcome back, everybody, to episode 158 of Let Me Get That Autograph. And on the line now, Scott, we've got a very special guest, someone I've wanted to have on the show for a little while now. You guys might know her on Instagram and social medias as TradingCardChick, and that is, of course, Becca Davis. Becca, thanks for joining the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, no, absolutely. I had actually stumbled upon, as we all do, diving on Instagram, looking through cards, looking at everything that's been pulled the last couple weeks and everything. I came across your page a little while back, pretty much right when you started it, as this is pretty brand new to you, the hobby, it seems. But I was really interested as I saw you inherited a family collection, and it seems that instead of just inheriting that collection and selling it off real quick for a quick buck, you kind of got the hobby itch, so to speak.
Yes, so whenever we took over everything in November, and my husband and his brother thought that the hobby was dead, thought that all the kids were going to be into just electronics now. They thought that it would be a good time to just sell everything. But my father-in-law, who we inherited everything from, specifically had told us a little bit how to sell it on eBay and never really wanted us to just sell it as a whole. So I was the one who had some extra time. And so I took it on, started going through it, quickly realized it was going to take a long time, but also I couldn't just like throw things up for a cheap price. Like some things were worth a lot and I needed to know what I was doing. So I just spent a lot of time with the cards. I looked up all kinds of videos, learned everything that I could, and through that have fallen in love with it, have met some great people, and I'm just kind of stuck in it now. It's grown. It's awesome.
So who would you see of all the people that, you've kind of met over the last year or so, kind of being into this, has anybody kind of taken you under their wing and, mentored you a little bit and, showed you, the ins and outs of the doing this as a business, or how to sell, how to buy, and things like that?
So I got onto the Clubhouse app. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's kind of like a brainstorming app. I was on there already because I'm a realtor and there's a lot of realtor rooms there. But one of those days I was searching for sports cards and there happened to be a room, and there's a cool room of a lot of great people in the hobby. And I just started asking my questions there. They are people with tops, with upper deck, just all these slab strong, show your slabs. So Tim, Corey, Jeremy Allen, the list goes on and on. All of them, I was just surrounded with them and surrounded with support, and they've been almost daily help, just having conversations and learning a ton from them.
Why is it that Tim and Corey always come up, in conversation?
I mean, besides being sponsors of the show, I mean, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. I mean, when you
they put themselves everywhere.
And it's like Tim says. I mean, he wears that hat. He wears that hat once, you'll never forget him ever. So I mean, he comes up everywhere. But those guys are making some serious moves. They went headstrong. I mean, those are two early companies that have blossomed into some amazing stuff. And so those are definitely some good people to be getting advice from and everything. And it is something where, you jumped into this by inheriting a collection that, did you ever collect anything like this before? Did you have any idea about this, or was this 100% brand new to you when you started all this?
It was 100% brand new to me. I'm not a collector. I don't collect things. I'm kind of a minimalist. And so, and even whenever my father-in-law was alive, I knew he had sports cards, but I had no idea it was this massive of a collection. And we never bonded over that. I know he talked to his sons about it and they shared some memories of collecting, but I didn't at all.
So what makes up the bulk of the collection? Is it modern? Is it vintage? Are there specific sports that he was, really focused on? Or is it just kind of a mishmash of everything?
He has a little bit of everything, but he seemed to be collecting vintage sets of baseball, football. So we have a lot of partial and complete sets of that. And then some basketball, a little bit of hockey, tiny bit of golf, and then a box of non-sport. So some vintage like Marine cards or airplanes, or I had some Batman, Star Wars, a lot of cool stuff. Plus, he also had some sealed boxes, a lot of sealed boxes. I kind of started there selling those because they were easy. They were already wrapped and easy to move. But these sets are taking a little longer to photograph and go through, organize, make sure they're all there, and get them listed.
Yeah, I can imagine that would be a tough, tough undertaking, especially with vintage sets, especially because you kind of have to document the conditions of every single one of those cards, as you're putting the entire set up for sale, and it can complicate things.
Yeah, condition. I didn't realize how much of how important it was, and how that really makes the price vary. And it's probably the biggest thing that I'm still trying to learn. I still don't feel confident that I can list a card and name its value. So I just try to photograph it well or scan it and say, see the scans.
Hey,
Yeah.
I mean, that's really the best way to do it all around anyway, if you're listing and moving stuff like that. So since you've gotten the collection and everything, I've noticed a lot also. I mean, this is kind of taken off with you. I've seen setting up at a lot of different shows, traveling to a lot of different places. Also, I got to meet you at the National briefly because I was completely zoned out of it after a really long week at the National, but did actually get a chance to meet you and everything. But I've seen that you've started to do a whole lot of shows and also a lot of content and stuff on Instagram. So now that you've got this collection, you're going to the shows and everything. Is this something that you plan to stay in for a little bit? Have you started collecting? Is this something where you want to keep going with it?
So yeah, it started as me trying to figure out the best way to move what we need to sell. But as I've met so many people in the community, it has captured my attention and become such an awesome hobby for myself. Now, I still don't really know what I want to collect. Most recently, right before the National, I finished Stranger Things season 4. And I looked up to see if there were cards from that, because that was such an emotionally awesome season. And there were. And so I found the first card that I wanted to collect was I think it's 2019 Topps Stranger Things 11 autograph. And I had searched for a little while for it, and I ended up just buying it on eBay before the National because I was afraid I wouldn't find it there. And I didn't find it there, so I'm glad that I bought it. So that's my first card for my own personal collection. But I'm just trying to figure out, just keep networking and just figure out what I can do in this hobby. It's fun, and there's so many different things that you can do with it. So that has really interested me, and I'm just trying to figure that out.
Yeah, and it may take you a while to figure it out, but my big advice when it comes to collecting is don't let anybody else tell you what to do. Don't let anybody else tell you what's hot, what you should and shouldn't collect. Collect what you like,
Yeah.
Find something that you like. It doesn't have to be valuable. It doesn't have to be popular, but if it's there and you like it, go for it.
Right.
Don't let anybody else, and I hate to say this because, we're in the age of Instagram and the influencers and all that kind of stuff. Don't buy into it.
Yeah.
Collect what you like.
I can see how you could see a lot on Instagram and think, well, that's the thing I need to be collecting because that's the hot thing. But that quickly fades and changes too. And you don't know what people are collecting behind the scenes in their own personal collection. So,
yeah. And most of the people who are making their big moves aren't putting those big moves on Instagram. They're normally on the other side. So I did mention that I got to meet you at the National, assuming it was your first National, but how was it?
It was great. So I decided to go just to network, but to celebrate the memory of my father-in-law. This was something that he would do. He's been to Nationals. He's set up at card shows, and I just want to kind of carry on his legacy. And he passed away in July of 2019. So this would have been the 3rd year anniversary. And it just so happened that the National was the same month. And so that's why I made the trip. Plus so many awesome people that I've met in the hobby. I got to see them again and meet new ones. But it was amazing. I only went Friday through Monday. The show ended Sunday. And that was plenty for me. It was overwhelming, but not in a nervous or uncomfortable way. It was so fun seeing the traditional tables, vintage and all of that, but also seeing the corporate stuff. I really did like seeing the bigger booths too.
Now I'm assuming you checked out the Stranger Things exhibit.
Of course. Of course. I did stand in line for a few hours to get my pack, and that was great. I tried a second time, but the line was already cut off.
Nice. So yeah, I can imagine, doing a couple of shows, visiting a couple of shows, and then hitting the National. That's definitely and extreme. What were some of your favorite things from the National? What were did you make any purchases there? Did you get any, how was the networking? You know, how was the overall experience like?
It was amazing. There's nothing negative that I could say. I know that Atlantic City isn't my favorite spot, but it wasn't as bad as I expected. Mainly, I just am not a gambler. I don't love casino towns. So,
Well, let
I'm
me ask you
excited to
this
see it
about
different.
Atlantic City. Since you're not a gambler, you're not a casino town. How many of the Monopoly street names did you go around looking for to try to cross those off your list?
I had no idea. You're
Yeah.
telling me something new.
So all of the, for those that don't know, and it's, I mean, this has been knowledge for decades, but Monopoly, the street names were all named after different streets in Atlantic City.
I had no clue.
You walk around, you see Monopoly murals and all that kind of stuff, but it's a something that people actually do. Is they go around and look. They look for, you know, Park Place. They look for, you know, I think the Tropicana, I think, was on Atlantic Avenue. You know, so it's all, you could try to find them, you know, based on the board game.
I stayed at Bally's, and I just basically went straight up and down to the convention center, and then I would just take a cab to some other casinos for events. But it was great. I'm trying to think. Definitely that Zero Cool booth was my favorite. It's hard to say. It's hard to pick a favorite. I just kept moving. I did not buy anything at the National. I just got those Stranger Thing packs. I'm just still kind of taking it all in and trying to figure out what I really like. I actually did start hunting. I had told you that my husband and his brother aren't into the cards at all. But that weekend, I found some Game of Thrones boxes and cards at the National. And so I sent my husband a picture of those, and that has sparked him to now be into it. And I tried to go back to those tables, and they'd already sold them. So I didn't get anything there. But he since has now been ordering stuff, and he's now, just these past few weeks, been trying to help me some with the cards. So it's really exciting.
So what are your next plans? Next shows? Next?
So the Dallas show is in my backyard. So I've been to 2 of those, and I will definitely be at the one in September. I love that they have those 4 times a year. That's really the next one that's on my radar. I don't have any other plans right now.
There's the weekend before Thanksgiving. It's actually one of the few shows that I set up at. Huge one up in Chicago, in the same convention center where the National is held, just in a different room. And you know, there's usually 400 dealers. You know, it's a Friday night through Sunday kind of show.
That's one I actually might go up for. And I know I'll definitely be down at the Dallas one too, because those Dallas shows are incredible. They keep getting bigger and bigger as well. I love those are actually some of my favorite shows to go to. Maybe it's because we get to see so many people down there, because, you know, that's the backyard of most of the people in the hobby. So there's a lot of people that set up at those shows. But I love the Dallas shows. I also highly recommend checking out the Mint. The Mint will be coming up in March when it comes to networking and everything. I think that'll be something important for you as well. But I think this is really cool how you've taken what was just an inherited collection and really, you know, I think it's an awesome way to honor your father-in-law's memory and kind of keep that legacy going of the collecting and everything. I think it's a wonderful thing.
Thanks. Yeah, it's been an adventure for sure.
Absolutely. So before I let you go, just if anyone wants to follow you on social media or anything like that, because you do post some really cool stuff when you go to shows and everything, just let them know how they can find you.
TradingCardChick on Instagram is the main spot to find me right now.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. Had been wanting to talk to you about it. I always like to hear cool ways that people get into the hobby, and especially someone that's new to the hobby's perspective on the industry that they're jumping into, because it's a wild and crazy place. So once again, Becca, thank you so much for joining the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored.
All right. And Scott, great interview there with Becca. Once again, thank you, Becca, for coming on the show. I wanted to have her on in particular because we talk to a lot of hobby experts all the time, but we never really get to talk to someone who's just entering the hobby on the show. And her story, I thought, was something very interesting as well on how she got into it, as far as inheriting a collection and then I mean, she was really downplaying how much stuff she is doing. She's getting very active in this the hobby now.
If you take a look at her Instagram, just the stuff that she posts, the stuff that she has. Is solid stuff.
Yeah.
I think she was very understated in what is there and what she is trying to move.
Very much so.
It's it is really good stuff. I highly recommend going and checking it out.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Once again, you can find her at TradingCardChick on Instagram. But I really thought that it was cool. I wanted to have someone that was new, on the hobby on, and I kind of wanted to hear, a new perspective of someone that's coming into the hobby. And, you see it right there. You grab something and you get hooked, and that's how this hobby is. You know what I mean? That's how it gets you. And there were a lot of people at the National, including her, that I met this year that were the same thing. Like, this is my first show. We're just getting into it, or, we inherited this collection, or we got this from a friend of ours. It's awesome to see. And, with so many experts always, like we just had Beckett on last week, I thought it would be cool if we had someone that's just now starting out, and someone who I think, if she wants to, is going to have a bright future in this industry.
She's not going to have a choice. Right. She has no idea what she's gotten into, because once you're in, this is like the mob.
Yeah,
once you're in. You can't get out.
Yes.
So she's in. There's no question about that. There's no way getting out now. You're too far down that rabbit hole. There's no way. You're in it. You're going to be a lifer just like the rest of us. And no matter how many times that we try to get out and try to do something different, and you hear about people selling off their entire collection because they want to get out, and then a month later they're out buying new stuff again because they just can't do it. It very much is an addiction.
Yes.
And like, you guys talked about, not being, off the air, about not being gamblers and, stuff like that. This is very much gambling.
Oh yeah, very much so. Yeah.
Absolutely. you did that cryptocurrency break, the other day, open packs for 3 hours, dude. I don't know how you can type, to get all this stuff set up right now. My fingers would be on fire for a week.
Yeah.
But look, it's akin to lottery tickets.
Yes.
Ripping packs and scratching lottery tickets are very, very similar. And in a lot of ways, you're better off scratching lottery tickets.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, the cryptocurrency break, by the way, was absolutely amazing. That Cardsmiths product, currency, guys, which if you want to check it out, it's awesome. It's a long one, but we did pull an insane Elon Musk out of 5, and our crypto redemption is Bitcoin. We don't know if it's the full Bitcoin yet. We haven't scratched the back. We're going to be doing that live on social media sometime soon and finding out how much it truly is. But those cards have started to hit the secondary market, and they are selling astronomically high. And I think this is something, the parallels and some of the rarities, especially this first edition, this is something that I think is going to catch on, this product as a whole, for the simple fact that the crypto and the collectible world are so intertwined. There's such a crossover right there that when you see the cards, when you see the quality, when you see the design, if you're any type of collector outside of non-sports, you're going to love it. Plus, the resale value is amazing. It's affordable, and you've got the cryptocurrency redemptions to chase, which are going to keep the product moving. So
let me ask you this, since we're on that topic. So how much do you think Cardsmiths was influenced by the 2018 Allen and Ginter Bitcoin, the cryptocurrency card? That's just a base card. It's a common. And for some unknown reason, it sells for like $200.
Oh, I know.
There's no rhyme or reason to it.
I threw away hundreds of them, man. I opened millions of those blasters and threw away hundreds of those base cards and gave away billions of them. And I think they were, and I believe they even talked, we talked a little bit about it at the National, and they brought up that card. They brought up, look at the Allen and Ginter card, about all that. And that's where I'm saying, like, the crossover is real. And now that you're finally starting to get people to see this, and that's kind of why I wanted to do that break, is the first ever break of the product. You can find it on on the Let Me Get That Autograph YouTube page or Facebook. But I mean, it's something where I think it's a new interesting area. Plus, the company's run by someone who's owned an incredibly successful toy business for about 15 to 20 years. So they have a ton of connections and a lot of licensing connections and things like that. Yep. To where some of the artists set are the original artists from Garbage Pail Kids and things like that. So you're able to get a lot of big stuff out of it. So I was actually thoroughly impressed with opening a full case. And, you know, as non-sport stuff starts to grow, as we were just talking about Stranger Things, I mean, you heard her say she waited in line for 2 hours. She was lucky. I know people that waited in line for over 5 hours for those Stranger Things cards. And
I think that's just nuts.
So do I. But it just goes to show you the overlapping of, you know, collectors now getting in and not even having to get into the sport arena to really dive into this hobby. And Cardsmiths, I think, is going to, at least with this currency product, is they've really got something here. The first edition is incredible. Now we'll see what happens down the line, but I was thoroughly impressed with that. Plus, you got an Elon Musk rookie and a variation that are absolutely hilarious and just really cool cards. So, you know, that's always cool to chase as well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, anytime you got that, you know, that kind of stuff in there, it's, you know, and love him or hate him, Elon is definitely a polarizing, interesting figure who evidently joked around he was going to go buy Manchester United.
Right, I know.
I love following him because he's just, you know, the stuff that he just pops off every now and again.
Oh, it's great. It's great.
Yeah, I love the guy personally, but
no, same here. I'm a huge fan. I've even got my Elon Musk sitting right here, my beautiful Sparkle. I love it, absolutely. Him riding his Tesla onto Mars. But on that note, Scott, I think it's probably a good spot to wrap up this week's episode. A lot of good stuff talked about. A lot of craziness in the hobby. No way to touch on all of it, but great interview and some awesome stuff today.
Absolutely. Don't forget, you can check me out this weekend at the Region Sports Cards and Collectibles. Come up and say hi. I don't think Mitch, who runs the show, was actually going to post this, but you know, we'll do. Anybody who wants to come up, we'll you know, do a free photo op and, you know, sign something for you for free.
There you go. Hey, do some.
Not that I expect anybody to actually take me up on that, but I'll do it if somebody comes up and asks.
There you go. Well, yeah, make sure if you guys are Mitch puts on an incredible show, so definitely if you guys are in the area, hit that up. But once again, guys, that is going to wrap up this week's episode, but I do want to thank our awesome sponsors, Show Your Slabs, Slab Strong, Vintage Breaks, Vanity Slabs, Card Ladder, and Denver Card Shows. Thank you guys so much for all your support. We could not do the show without you guys, but once again, guys, new episode of Let Her Rip coming this week. Hobby Hotline every Saturday and Tuesday. We got some amazing, awesome news. The Hobby Hotline Saturday show is now a part of the Bench Clear Media Network. So you'll be finding that on Bench Clear Media, so check that out as well. But until next week, you guys, you know the deal. Keep ripping those packs, pulling those hits. We'll talk to you then. Peace!